When life begins to crumble around you, when the pressure mounts and everything seems to go wrong at once, it's not a sign of defeat, it's a signal. That breaking point you're feeling, the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the confusion, the doors closing all around you, it's not the end. It's the weight of something greater approaching. Just before the biggest breakthrough in your life, you will be tested in ways you never imagined. It's the storm before the harvest. Most people misunderstand that pressure. They take it personally. They think it means they're cursed, abandoned, forgotten, or unworthy. But it's none of that. That storm, that shaking, that fire, it is preparation. It is confirmation that the shift is near. The universe, God, life, it all operates on principles, and one of those principles is this: nothing great is born without resistance. Before any major transformation, resistance appears like a shadow. It's not because you are failing, it's because you are becoming. When something powerful is about to enter your life, every weak part of you will rise to the surface, screaming, fighting, resisting. The old you, the insecure, fearful, doubtful, complacent version of yourself, feels threatened. It knows it cannot coexist with what is coming, so it fights back. That's why the fight intensifies right before the miracle. That's why pain peaks just before the promise, because you are being stretched. And the stretch hurts, but it is necessary. Diamonds don't form in comfort. Gold isn't purified in cold water. You cannot become strong by avoiding the weight. People often mistake divine timing for delay. They don't realize that the universe isn't slow, it's strategic. When you pray, when you set a vision, when you dream of something bigger than yourself, that energy is released. It begins to attract circumstances, people, opportunities, and situations that are in harmony with that vision. But before you can receive it, you must be able to hold it, and that's where the trial comes in. That's where the pressure becomes a gift. You have to understand that every single challenge that shows up on the road to your blessing is not there to stop you. It's there to reveal you. It's there to show you what's still weak, what's still small, what still needs to grow. Because if you received what you asked for without growing into it, it would crush you. So the struggle is part of the shaping. You're not cursed. You're being crafted. Every sleepless night is a sign that your soul is waking up. Every rejection is pushing you into redirection. Every loss is creating space for something better. The pain, the confusion, the silence, it all speaks. It says, hold on, don't run, don't break. You're closer than you think. The blessing doesn't come when you ask. It comes when you become the version of yourself who can manage it. And that version requires a level of endurance, strength, character, and clarity that can only be forged through adversity. Look at the pattern of every great life. There's always a season of breaking before the building. There's always a night before the sunrise. There's always a wilderness before the promised land. This isn't a delay. This is alignment. The discomfort isn't punishment. It's preparation. You are being asked to stretch into the person who can receive what you asked for. You are being asked to hold steady while everything inside of you wants to run. And if you can stand in that fire, if you can stay grounded when everything is trying to knock you down, you will emerge with more than just a blessing. You'll emerge with the strength to sustain it. You have to stop interpreting resistance as rejection. You have to stop quitting right before the blessing shows up, because that's the trick. The moment of breakthrough always disguises itself as breakdown. You will be tempted to give up. You will be tested with silence, with delay, with detours, but every delay carries divine weight. Every detour teaches you something your destiny will require. You are not being stalled. You are being sculpted. The tension you feel right now, that's your soul expanding. That's your faith being fortified. That's your vision maturing. You are not falling apart. You are being rebuilt with intention. The biggest lie fear tells you is that your struggle is a sign you're not worthy. But the truth is, struggle is the passport to greatness. Nobody arrives at their purpose without pain. Nobody builds a legacy without being broken first. The trial before the triumph is not an accident. It's the proof that your vision is real, and that proof shows up in discomfort. It shows up in moments where you want to quit, where nothing makes sense, where you wonder if it's all in your head. But deep down, something keeps pulling you forward. That's not an accident either. That's the call of destiny, and destiny doesn't shout, it whispers. It's subtle, it's patient, but it's powerful. What you must understand is that pain doesn't always mean you're doing something wrong. Sometimes pain is confirmation you're on the right path. You are shedding the old version of yourself. You are moving from comfort to calling. You are walking away from smallness, and that hurts, but don't you dare mistake the pain of growth for the pain of punishment. They feel the same, but their outcomes are worlds apart. One leads to limitation, the other leads to liberation. One keeps you in the cycle, the other frees you into destiny. The struggle, the silence, the waiting. It's all part of the divine blueprint. You must not forget that pressure has a purpose. It forces you to let go of what no longer serves you. It removes what cannot stay. It exposes who cannot come with you. It forces clarity. It demands discipline. It creates depth. Without the pressure, you'd settle. You'd get comfortable in the middle. You'd water down your dream to match your current reality. But the pressure demands more. It demands evolution. And evolution is never easy, but it is essential. So if you're in the storm right now, if you're in the fire, if you're in that space where nothing makes sense and everything feels heavy, take heart. That's where transformation lives. That's where the shift begins. Not when things are easy, but when they're almost unbearable. That's the tipping point. That's when the breakthrough starts breathing. But only for the ones who don't quit. Only for the ones who stay rooted when the winds scream and the ground shakes. Because the ones who hold on, the ones who endure, that's who the blessing is waiting for. If you're waiting for something big, something meaningful, something that could change your life forever, then you have to understand that belief alone isn't enough. Belief must be expressed through action. Too many people say they believe something good is coming, that their time is near, that they trust the process. But their habits, their preparation, and their mindset reveal the truth. You can't just sit and hope. You can't pray for rain and not carry an umbrella. If you truly believe that something great is on the horizon, you must begin to act like it. Your actions must reflect the size of the blessing you say you expect. Otherwise, your words are just noise. Real faith is preparation. It's moving before you see results. It's showing up every day even when you feel nothing is changing. It's putting in the effort even when there's no applause, no validation, no proof. It's building the house when all you have is a blueprint and a promise. And that takes courage. That takes a certain kind of inner certainty that doesn't need immediate evidence. The strongest people are not the ones who scream the loudest about belief. They are the ones who quietly build while the world doubts them. They are the ones who prepare in silence and let the results speak. When you say you believe something big is coming but you remain stagnant, you are lying to yourself. When you claim that your dream is real but you make no room for it, you are sending a message to life itself that you're not ready. The universe responds to readiness. Life rewards preparation. Your future doesn't arrive all at once. It leaks into your present through the choices you make right now. So ask yourself honestly, are you behaving like someone who is expecting greatness, or are you still living in the shadow of fear, procrastination, and excuses? There is a law at play here, one that governs success, transformation, and manifestation. That law says what you prepare for is what you attract. If you're waiting for the door to open but you haven't packed your bags, you won't be ready when it does. If you're asking for opportunity but wasting your current time in idleness, the opportunity will pass you by. Life doesn't waste its power on those who aren't serious. It doesn't hand out miracles to those who won't manage them with maturity. You must meet the miracle with readiness. You must meet the blessing with structure. You must meet the dream with discipline. Otherwise, the very thing you prayed for will become the thing that overwhelms you. There are people right now who are praying for a breakthrough, but refusing to break old habits. They want elevation without preparation. They want the reward without the resistance. But elevation without structure leads to collapse. The bigger the gift, the bigger the foundation required to hold it. You don't just rise. You are raised by what you've built over time. Every habit you form, every small act of discipline, every early morning and late night of silent effort. It all becomes the floor that your future stands on. If you don't build that floor, the future you dream of has nowhere to land. People confuse waiting with inactivity, but true waiting is active. It's strategic. It's filled with anticipation, focus, and readiness. If you were told that everything you've ever wanted would arrive in exactly 30 days, how would you live for the next 29? That's the energy you need to carry now, even if you don't know the date or time. You live like it's coming. You work like it's already on the way. You train like you're about to be called up, because one day you will be, and you either rise with confidence or shrink with regret, based entirely on how you prepared. You can't receive something big with small energy. You can't walk into a future of abundance with a mindset of lack. You must grow into the gift. You must stretch into the size of what you've asked for. That stretching is uncomfortable. It forces you to develop consistency, patience, and emotional control. It demands that you work while you wait and believe while you build, and belief, when it's real, is not passive. It wakes you up in the morning, it pulls you forward, it makes you say no to distractions. It makes you say yes to discomfort, because you know in your spirit that preparation is a form of faith. You're not just hoping. You're aligning. Some people will laugh at your preparation. They'll say you're doing too much, that you're overthinking, that nothing's guaranteed. But those same people will one day ask how you did it. They'll wonder how you made it look easy. What they didn't see was the days, weeks, months, and years of intentional action. They didn't see the mindset you had to form, the losses you had to endure, the discipline you had to enforce when nobody was watching. They saw the arrival but missed the rehearsal, and that rehearsal is what builds the foundation. That rehearsal is the work of real belief. Don't wait until the door opens to get ready. The preparation is what causes the door to open. And even if the door doesn't open when or how you expected, the person you became during that preparation, stronger, wiser, more focused, is the real reward. The blessing may not always come in the form you imagined, but when you're prepared, you're flexible. You're able to adapt. You're not shaken by delay or detour because your internal system is stable, and that stability comes from years of acting on your faith, not just talking about it. It's not the size of your dream that matters most, it's the size of your discipline. Dreams are common, execution is rare, and the universe, God, life, they all respond to execution. If you're waiting for something big, don't just wait. Become the person that something big requires. Organize your life like the future is already knocking. Clean your environment, strengthen your mind, protect your energy, because blessings don't come to chaos, they come to clarity. They come to people who move like they belong in the space they're praying for. Every day is a question. Are you acting like someone who believes? Or are you hoping something good will come while secretly doubting you'll ever be ready for it? The way you answer that question will shape your future. Because when the moment comes, when the door opens, when the opportunity appears, there won't be time to get ready. There will only be time to step in. And how you've lived, how you've trained, how you've moved up to that point, that's what will decide whether you rise or fall. Not luck, not chance, but the actions you took when no one was watching. That's what belief looks like, and that's what brings the blessing. What you're asking for isn't small. What you see in your heart, the dream you're holding, the future you're believing in. It's not ordinary. It's not average. It's something big, something that will change the entire course of your life. And because it's big, it requires more from you than you've ever given before. It requires a deeper commitment, a stronger mindset, a more refined character, and an unshakable discipline. You don't just stumble into greatness, you grow into it. The delay you're experiencing isn't denial, it's development, because what you're asking for demands a version of you that doesn't exist yet. It demands a wiser you, a more patient you, a more focused and resilient you. So the time you're spending in waiting isn't wasted. It's a divine construction zone. You're being built for the blessing. Most people don't understand this. They think they're ready simply because they want something badly. But desire without capacity is dangerous. If you receive something before you're ready, it doesn't become a blessing. It becomes a burden. The weight of it crushes you. The responsibility overwhelms you. The pressure exposes all the cracks you never fixed, all the weak foundations you never strengthened. That's why the wait is so long, because the blessing is heavy, and unless you've developed the strength to carry it, you'll sabotage the very thing you prayed for. You'll drop it, you'll run from it, or worse, you'll misuse it. You have to be expanded before the increase arrives. You have to stretch before the reward is released. It's not punishment, it's mercy. It's not delay, it's protection. You're being given time to become what your future requires. You're being asked to rise, to evolve, to cut away what can't go with you. That process is painful. It feels like being stripped, like being emptied out. And that's exactly what it is. You cannot be filled with purpose if you're already full of excuses, full of distractions, full of fear, bitterness, or ego. So before the big thing comes, there must be a clearing, a cleansing, a purging. Everything in you that is small must die. Everything in you that is afraid must be silenced. Everything in you that is passive must be awakened. Think about it. You don't put a crown on a child's head and call them a king. You teach them, you train them, you send them through lessons and trials until they grow into the responsibility. The crown isn't withheld out of cruelty, it's withheld out of love. The same is true in your life. You're not being ignored, you're being trained. Every test you face, every disappointment, every delay, it's making you, it's refining you, it's teaching you how to endure pressure without folding, how to hold vision in the dark, how to stay consistent without applause. All of that is preparation. All of that is expansion. You're being made bigger on the inside so you can hold what's coming on the outside. The truth is, most people don't fail because they didn't get their chance. They fail because they got their chance and weren't ready. The opportunity came and they hadn't prepared. The door opened and they didn't have the discipline to walk through it with confidence. That's why the season you're in right now is so crucial. It may feel quiet. It may feel dry. It may feel like nothing is happening, but everything is happening, just not in the way you can see. The foundation is being laid. The roots are growing deep, and the deeper the root, the taller the tree can grow. If your roots aren't deep, you'll be shaken by the first storm that comes. But if you've been stretched, strengthened, built in the dark, nothing can move you. You'll have stability in the spotlight. So ask yourself this: am I truly ready for what I'm asking for? Can I manage the pressure, the responsibility, the visibility, the temptation, the attacks that will come with the increase? Because nothing big comes alone. It brings everything with it. New levels bring new tests. More influence brings more scrutiny. Greater purpose brings greater resistance. Are you ready for that? Have you built the kind of character that doesn't break when things don't go your way? Have you disciplined yourself to keep going when you're tired, misunderstood, and unseen? That's the preparation that matters. That's the kind of capacity that must be built. And it's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's hard. It's lonely. It's thankless. But it's necessary. You may not see the results yet, but you're growing. Every day you wake up and push forward, even when you don't feel like it, you're growing. Every time you forgive instead of holding on to bitterness, you're growing. Every moment you stay disciplined instead of giving in to your emotions, you're growing. And that growth isn't wasted. It's being recorded. It's being woven into your future. You're building the internal infrastructure that will support the external blessings, because God, the universe, whatever force you believe in, it doesn't just look at your desire. It looks at your readiness. Are you prepared to hold what you're asking for without it destroying your peace, your integrity, your sense of self? The version of you who will walk into that dream life you envision is not the version standing here today. That future version is being forged in fire, through struggle, through resistance, through discipline. That version doesn't emerge from comfort. It comes from the daily choice to grow. It comes from the willingness to let go of everything that no longer serves where you're going. So if you're in a season of pruning, of discomfort, of being stretched beyond what you think you can handle, understand this. It's a sign that something big is coming. It's a sign that your future is near. But it won't arrive until you are strong enough to carry it. Not just strong in body, but strong in spirit. Strong in your identity, strong in your focus, strong in your purpose. You cannot shortcut this. You cannot fake readiness. You either build the strength or you don't. You either develop the capacity or you crumble under the weight. The good news is that every trial you face is not meant to crush you. It's meant to prepare you. Every challenge is an invitation to rise. Every delay is a gift of time to grow. And the moment you begin to see your current season through that lens, everything changes. You stop complaining and start building. You stop waiting and start becoming, because you realize that the gift you want will only come when you've become the person who can carry it. The blessing is not being withheld from you. It's waiting for you to grow into it. Pain has a purpose. Struggle has a reason. The moments when everything feels like it's falling apart are often the exact moments when everything is actually coming together. But you don't see it at first. You feel abandoned, isolated, forgotten. You question everything, your worth, your direction, your decisions. But those moments, the ones filled with silence and suffering, are not a curse. They are a sign. A sign that something is shifting inside you. A signal that the old version of you is being broken so that a new, stronger, wiser, more powerful version can rise. Every person who ever reached something extraordinary has been through a season of deep pain. Not ordinary discomfort, not simple failure, but the kind of struggle that breaks your heart open, the kind of pain that leaves you questioning whether you'll ever be the same again. It is in that season that the greatest transformation occurs. Because pain is a teacher that comfort will never be. It reveals your weaknesses. It exposes what you've been avoiding. It strips away every illusion and every excuse until all that's left is your truth. You don't learn resilience from victory. You don't develop strength when everything is working in your favor. You become strong when you have no choice but to be strong. You become resilient when everything inside you wants to quit, but something deeper keeps pushing you forward. And it's in that persistence, in that refusal to give in, that you begin to change, not on the outside, not in the world's eyes, but in your spirit. You begin to shed the fragile parts of you. You begin to understand what you're truly made of. And that understanding becomes the foundation of your future. The universe, God, life itself. It doesn't just test you to see you suffer. It tests you to prepare you. Before you are trusted with power, you must be purified through pressure. Before you're handed something big, you must prove that you can be trusted with something small. And how do you prove that? Not by pretending everything is fine, but by showing up when everything isn't. By staying faithful when nothing makes sense. By being consistent when nobody is watching. That's how you build integrity. That's how you build the spiritual muscle required to carry a blessing that could crush you if you were still weak. The pain you feel today is not the end. It is the beginning of something greater, but you have to endure it. You have to allow it to shape you. Too many people try to escape their struggle too quickly. They numb it, avoid it, deny it, and in doing so they miss the lesson, they miss the gift, because there is always a gift in suffering. Sometimes it's clarity, sometimes it's direction, sometimes it's a stripping away of people, patterns, or beliefs that no longer serve you. But if you run from the pain, you also run from the purpose behind it. This is why pressure increases right before breakthrough. This is why things seem to fall apart right before something beautiful is born. It's the final test, it's the proving ground. Can you keep walking when you can't see the path? Can you keep believing when the evidence is gone? Can you trust what's inside you more than the chaos around you? Those are the questions life asks before it unlocks the next level, because your blessing isn't just about you. It will affect others. It will influence people. And if you're not grounded, if you're not rooted in who you are and why you're here, you'll misuse what you've been given. That's why the pain feels so personal, because it is. It's tailor-made to break open the exact part of you that needs transformation. If your pride is in the way, the pain will humble you. If your fear is in the way, the pain will confront you. If your identity is built on approval, the pain will isolate you, not to destroy you, but to rebuild you on a stronger foundation, one that cannot be shaken by the opinions of others, one that doesn't need validation to act, one that moves with purpose, not pressure. There are lessons that only darkness can teach you. There is a depth of self-awareness that only suffering can bring. You find out who you are when everything is stripped away. When the distractions are gone, when the applause is silent, when there's nothing left but your inner voice whispering, "Keep going." That's when you learn how to lead yourself. That's when you discover your true power, not in your talent, not in your appearance, but in your ability to endure and rise. And once you've walked through the fire, once you've survived the breaking, you come out different. You move with a quiet confidence. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You don't chase, you attract. You don't beg, you decide. You don't panic, you prepare. Because you've been through something that taught you what truly matters. And what matters isn't its alignment. It's knowing that what you're building, who you're becoming, is rooted in something real. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You're not being delayed. You're being developed, and that development comes at a cost. It will cost you your comfort. It will cost you relationships that can't handle your growth. It will cost you your old habits, your laziness, your need for validation. But what you gain will be far more valuable. You'll gain vision, you'll gain strength, you'll gain the kind of clarity that makes you unstoppable, not because everything is perfect, but because you've been forged in imperfection. So if you're in a season of pain, don't rush to escape it. Lean into it. Ask what it's trying to teach you. Ask what needs to be released. Ask what needs to be built. The discomfort is the evidence that something is shifting, that you're being pulled forward, that your current level is too small for where you're headed. And if you can endure it, if you can embrace the process instead of fighting it, you'll come out on the other side stronger than you've ever been. You'll walk into rooms you once only dreamed of, not as a guest, but as someone who belongs, because you'll know that nothing was given, it was earned, through pain, through pressure, through perseverance. There's a moment that comes right before everything changes, a moment that doesn't look like victory, a moment that doesn't feel like success. It feels like breaking, it feels like isolation, it feels like you've given everything you have and there's nothing left. That's the moment just before breakthrough. It's not the end, it's the turning point. And that moment is the hardest to endure because it feels like you've been forgotten, like nothing you've done has made a difference, like all your prayers and hard work and discipline have gone unnoticed. But that's when you're closest to the shift. That's when you're inches away from stepping into something greater than you've ever experienced. The pressure isn't proof of failure. It's the proof of impending breakthrough. Most people quit at this point. They retreat. They walk away, not because they lack potential, but because they misread the signs. They think resistance means stop, but resistance often means you're pushing against a boundary that is about to break. And when you're close to the edge of transformation, the opposition increases, the distractions intensify, the discouragement grows louder. That's the test. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to see if you're truly ready. Ready to hold the weight of the next level, ready to stand when others fall, ready to operate from purpose, not feelings. Breakthrough doesn't arrive in the form of celebration. It arrives disguised as struggle. It shows up in the silence, in the shadows, in the times when you have to lead yourself out of the darkness with nothing but your vision and faith. There is a cost to reaching your next level, and that cost is often pain, patience, and persistence. You'll be tested on every level, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. You'll have to choose discipline when you're tired. You'll have to speak belief when you feel empty. You'll have to act on faith when everything around you is telling you to give up. The greatest shifts happen when you push through the point of no return, when you don't just want the change, you need it. You're done settling. You're done shrinking. You're done living below your potential. And in that moment, something inside you wakes up, not the loud kind of motivation that disappears after a few hours, the quiet, unshakable kind, the kind that says, no matter what, I'm not going back. That's where transformation begins. That's when your energy shifts, your habits shift, your identity shifts, because now it's not just about wanting something, it's about becoming someone. You'll know you're close to break through when you start to feel uncomfortable in places that once felt familiar, when conversations that once excited you now drain you, when environments that once inspired you now feel limiting. It's because your spirit knows you've outgrown your current level. You're expanding. And growth always comes with a sense of tension. That tension isn't a sign of failure. It's the birth pain of a new reality. It's the discomfort of becoming. You're shedding an old identity and stepping into a new one. And just like a snake outgrows its skin, the friction is necessary. It means you're making room for what's next. But nothing shifts until you do. The circumstances don't change until you change how you show up. If you keep responding to life with the same habits, the same mindset, the same stories, you'll keep getting the same results. The breakthrough you're praying for is waiting on the other side of your willingness to evolve. Not once, not when it's convenient, but every day, in the small moments, in the choices nobody sees, in the discipline that builds momentum even when the world isn't clapping for you. That's how breakthroughs are born, in silence, in consistency, in the grind that refines you. And don't expect everyone to understand your shift. They won't. When you start changing, you'll become a mirror for those who are still stuck. You'll reflect their potential, and that can make people uncomfortable. Some will question your path. Some will try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because your growth threatens their comfort. But you have to stay focused. You weren't called to fit in. You were called to rise. And rising requires separation. Separation from old thinking, from people who no longer align with your purpose, from habits that drain your power. You'll also feel fear right before breakthrough. That fear isn't a stop sign. It's a compass. It's showing you exactly where your power is. The greater the fear, the greater the freedom on the other side. You just have to walk through it, not with arrogance, but with courage. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward in spite of it. You won't feel ready, you won't have all the answers, but the moment you take the step, the path begins to unfold. Life meets you at the level of your action, not just your intention. If you want the door to open, you have to be willing to knock consistently, unapologetically, even when no one answers at first. This is also the moment where your character is tested. Will you do the right thing when no one is watching? Will you stay committed when it's not exciting? Will you give your best even when you feel your worst? These are the moments that define your break, through not the spotlight moments, but the private ones. The decisions you make when no one is clapping, the habits you build when no one is watching. That's what determines whether you're ready for what you say you want. The breakthrough is never just about arriving at a destination. It's about who you become in the process, because if you don't change, nothing else will. And sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come after the biggest breakdowns, the tears, the confusion, the nights you wanted to quit. Those aren't signs that it's over. They're signs that something powerful is being released. You're shedding your old self. You're releasing everything that's been holding you back, and that release can feel like pain. But it's also freedom. It's space being made for a new mindset, a new belief system, a new level of self-respect and clarity. You're not falling apart. You're being put back together in a stronger, truer form. So when you feel like everything is against you, when nothing seems to be working, when you're tempted to quit, that's the moment to lean in, because you're not far, you're not forgotten, you're being refined for something greater than you've ever known. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep building. The pressure you feel is not the end. It's the beginning of a breakthrough that will change everything.